being Jamaican, it's more of you have to live up to the identity of a Jamaican.
I feel like parents who are immigrants and who didn't go to college, I feel that they put a tremendous amount of pressure on their children.
Okay, so my name is Hugh, and
My name's Roxana.
okay, great. So tell me something about you. Where are you from? Let's start with that.
So I was born in Virginia, but I was raised in Montgomery County in Maryland. Both my parents are from El Salvador. They immigrated here to the United States and came to Maryland for a better life, better opportunities, better jobs to send back home to their families. And they got married, had children, and all they wanted was for us to go to college and make it big, and the American dream.
The American dream.
Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Jamaica. That's an island in the Caribbean. I'm a second child. I'm the second child to my mom. My brother, who's older than me. I believe.
Me too, older
Yes.
sister.
So, second child. First generation college student. My mom never went to college. My dad didn't go to college either. I assume because we don't really interact that much, but the later I know, he didn't go to college. I came here 2 years ago. I'm an international student.
Wow, okay.
And so I'm here at Montgomery College pursuing a double major in information systems and communication.
Oh, very cool. After you get your degree here at Montgomery College, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself furthering your education, getting a career here in the United States, or do you want to go back to Jamaica?
So I was talking to somebody about this question today. And,
Okay.
after I move on from Montgomery College, I'll get my bachelor's and then my master's. I'm not so sure if I want to continue here in the United States or go back home and make something of my life there. So that's all up to circumstances now. I'm not ready to make a decision as to whether I want to stay here, go somewhere else. I've been looking at Canada, England.
Oh, wow.
Or go back home.
Okay.
How about you?
That's for future you to decide.
Yeah. and again, I said, how about you? But you basically live here. But would you
Yeah.
want to visit anywhere else? How about the Caribbean somewhere?
Well, I still have family in El Salvador, and I love them very, very much. We communicate all the time. I've been there only 3 times, and I feel like the way that I visited my parents' home country, where my roots are from, really just shows who I am. I went 3 times: when I was 5, when I was 16, and when I was 21, like as a full adult. So
Okay.
through the years, I've seen the differences and comparisons of how much of an opportunity we have here in America, and
by
it's pretty much,
contrast.
yeah, by contrast, exactly. Although there is opportunity over there, there's so much more freedom here in the United States, and my parents, again, time and time again, they always tell me, to reach for the stars and
Appreciate what you have.
exactly, and try to get the highest degree of education I could get. But as far as afterwards, I would like to. I'm studying broadcast media production. I would love to create films, documentaries, sitcoms, anything really that. It's my I would like to follow.
That's your passion.
That's my passion very much.
Nice,
Yes, it took a while for me to realize that.
What you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of us adolescents, especially from leaving high school, going to college, it's a bit confusing as to what we want to do, what we want to pursue. Some people have it down ever since they were kids.
Yeah.
Because I have friends who, in the first grade, they told me they wanted to be a doctor, and right now they're in college and they're studying medicine. So, some people are good at that. Some people have a dream since they're kids. people like me, my dream changes like every year. I'm like, you know, I'm interested in film today. Oh, you know, I'm interested in advocacy or something else. So some people take some time to find their footing, you know. And
very true, yeah.
I think one of the important things is follow your dreams.
Right, yeah. So. That's something I went through. I feel like parents who are immigrants and who didn't go to college, I feel that they put tremendous amount of pressure on their children to take the opportunities that they didn't have. Right. And it's almost like they don't really understand every aspect, you know, like socially or financially or just how people are in our generation. You know, they're just very like, you know, you have it this way, you got to get it this way, you know. For example, like my mom wanted me to be like a nurse or doctor, and my dad wanted me to be a lawyer, and they were just like, just be something great. And I tried. And my first few years here at Montgomery College, I was dabbling. I wanted to be a counselor. I wanted to be a nurse. I didn't really know, but the entire time I loved films and movies and shows and social media, and I felt like I could really help influence something or someone in production. So they finally accepted my path to go into film and production and media. I think it's a common trait among immigrants per se, because I can say the same thing about parents from Jamaica. They think. In a way, it's like, oh, if you're not a doctor or a lawyer or, you know, a more prestigious profession in their eyes, you're basically not setting an example, or you're not following, you know, you're not being great then, or you're not realizing your full potential. But if you go towards a non-traditional area like art or film, they're like, oh yeah, you know. So I think it's a common trait among immigrants. You know, most immigrants coming into the United States, they work hard and they send their kids to college, and they value the importance of education. So and I think some immigrants parents they don't put much emphasis on non-traditional, like non-STEM majors and stuff like that. So something like film, I know Jamaican immigrants would have, you know, a bit to say about that. So. Okay, and do you feel that your culture from Jamaica influences who you are and your path at MC? I think my culture has a big influence on me. For example, it's not just a nationality. It's not just, you know, an identity. It's not just a nationality. It's an identity for me. So being Jamaican is like, it's like an honor in a way. There's a great sense of national pride from where I'm from. In the Caribbean community, we see each other as a not just a nationality. It's just like an identity. They say if you're born Jamaican, it's like something great. It's like there's this passion that we exert as a people, and I feel that being Jamaican, it's more of, you have to live up to the identity of a Jamaican, and then you have to live up culturally. You know, you want to keep your language, you want to keep your whole Jamaican demeanor, and so it's definitely something that that influences my life, and I think I enjoy being Jamaican. It's not just a nationality, as I said. It's just like an entire identity for itself. Very much. How about you? Do you think your culture, being from Central America, influences who you are as a person? Oh, definitely, yeah. I feel like some characteristics that I have is hard work and ambition. A lot of Salvadorians are described as hard workers. My parents both worked so hard to be here and to provide for us financially. And I definitely feel like that fire inside, like you said, a passion. I do, however, want to. I seek greatness, and I want to be able to somehow help things that are going on in my country right now. There's poverty, there's a lot of gang violence. So one of my dreams actually is to go back and create a documentary of the beauty of the country and kind of dedicate it to my parents.
I was reading about a war that happened in El Salvador. I think back in the 90s. I'm not entirely sure of the timeline, but coming down from the 80s down, there was a revolution there.
Yeah.
And I was reading about that, and I definitely saw where some of the atrocities committed against the people were, you know.
Yeah.
So
it was,
so what do you know about that? Do you think that contributed somewhat to what El Salvador is facing now?
I do remember asking my whole family about that war. It was a civil war, and they were pretty much abducting young men into to fight in the war.
Right.
They actually abducted my uncle, and he, when I was younger, it was like everyone's like sat down on the floor like crisscross applesauce, and he told a story of how things happened over there. I remember my mom; she grew up pretty poor, and once you heard a gunshot, everyone just drops down on the floor because they don't care about the villages. They just shoot. You know, it's a war zone pretty much, like in the people's homes, in the villages. So they would like duck down underneath the mattresses for like 8 hours straight through the day. And once you hear it stop, you stop. And there's actually a movie that I really like to watch just because I like to learn the culture of it. And there was like a song that was banned that the people created. It was just a song accompanied by a guitar. And if anyone heard you sing that song, you would get shot. You know, so it's really like the people just like a revolution that I know is in my family affected both my parents, my mom very much because she remembers that. And so knowing my country's culture,
History.
tradition, yeah. But I like to think of things that make me happy, like the food and the music, of course.
Yeah, so tell me about the food, because I don't really know much about El Salvador. I know a couple of people from there. I've had El Salvador pupusas already.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, I'd like to know more about the food.
Okay. Oh man. So the pupusas are the main dish from El Salvador.
Yeah.
Everyone always, when I introduce myself sometimes to people, I'm like, oh, like, you know, from El Salvador, if they ask me, and they'll be like, oh, I've had pupusas before. They're good, you know. I'm like, okay, great. We also make tamales, de pollo. We usually make a huge, we make about 200 every Christmas.
Oh wow!
And
that's a lot.
It's a huge process to make them. It's one of my favorite times. It's like when I can smell the masa. It's Christmas.
Tell me about the tamales. Are they they're like little packets that with meat inside them and you boil them in?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So what actually happened was I was in Virginia in the 31st of December last year, and I went to this farm with somebody I know from MC, and a bunch of us went there.
Cool.
And so we had tamales, and so when we were eating the tamales, when I cut them, I saw that it was like a dumpling.
Oh really?
I think it was like a dumpling. I'm not sure if it's tamales or something else, but I know they're from El Salvador, and he said it was a cultural dish. And so when we cut them, I noticed there were meat inside them. And back home we have this thing we call it blue draws, or I don't remember the other name, no, but the popular name for it is blue draws, and it's the same concept of it. And we use coconut to make it, and it was the same. It was basically the same concept, where they put it in banana leaves and they boil it inside the pot, and then it's made with cornmeal and you have meat inside it. But we didn't have meat inside ours. It's just.
So yeah, I know that there are different types of tamales. There's Mexican tamales, Salvadorian tamales. There's a corn tamales. It's really just corn in a corn leaf. And we eat it with like sour cream.
Yes.
The Christmas chicken tamales from El Salvador, the process to make it is so big. It's pretty much like stations, and it is also like wrapped in like a type of leaf material.
And it's boiled, right?
It's boiled,
right.
yeah.
We have the same thing, but it's made slightly differently. You know, we make it slightly differently. So yeah, that's something I know that I came across that had some cross-cultural influence.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting to explore. You could probably make a documentary about that.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
see how the cultures between the Caribbean islands and
Yeah,
and
of
Central
course.
America?
I was thinking the other day that pretty much every region has their own resources, their foods, and some of them are like, you know, shared across
Right.
the globe. We have like let's say rice. Rice, like, you know, in
Rice.
Asia and
Everybody knows rice,
Latin
yeah.
America, everyone eats rice. So yeah, like the similarities, there's definitely connection. And I think it's like a really beautiful thing. It's like a human connection. Like we have our cultures and we have our backgrounds, but we're still human. We function the same. We
Right.
need to eat. We need to breathe. And those similarities they're really sweet. I didn't really know about that.
Yeah, I found out
That
about
meal.
that. So I found out that there is a slight similarity between the two. Maybe different names, but it's the same. It's kind of the same.
Foods are. Have you had any other discoveries with other MC students on their culture?
So the cool thing about going to MC or attending MC is that there is this clash of cultures where cultures from all over the world, they come together and they amalgamate. So at MC, I meet tons of students from all over the world. I have this checkbox of all African countries,
Really?
and so each student I meet, and I say, so I talk to them and ask them where in Africa they're from, and each person I meet from a different country, I'll tick that box. So
Cool.
I met this guy from Togo on Tuesday night
Wow.
when I was going home, and we had a great discussion about Togo and their culture, and so. You know, learning about coming to MC, you get to learn and see different cultures from all over the world. So I have the same list for South America and Central America too. So I have these lists that I'm
There's
trying.
a lot of countries.
There's a lot of countries.
Yeah.
And I think one time I found out there's a North Korean here in MC, and I was like, wow, I need to meet him or her. And it's been my mission to like find that person to be like, oh yeah, I met a North Korean. You know,
That's
how about
really
you though?
cool. Yeah, so in my classes, my broadcasting classes, I have a group of friends, and the way we met was so organic. It's just like, oh, let's meet together to study for our midterms, and we were friends from last semester to this semester. We're in the same classes again, and I really value that friendship just because it's really simple how we can just like text each other and talk about schoolwork, but we also talk about our personal lives and work. And I took a step back and I realized how diverse this group of friends are. I mean, we have me, who's, you know, from Central America. We have someone from Italy. We have some Americans who have further background, like European descent.
Right.
We have like a Peruvian guy and a guy from Brazil who speaks Portuguese. My friend from Ghana, and she actually visited over the summer, and she brought home like 100% cocoa, like chocolate that was
wow.
untouched by anything. It was just like a chocolate bar. We tasted it, and she brought it to class, and she shared it with us. And my other friend, her name is G. She's from China, and I've grown a real closeness with her because we do kind of talk about like our background, and she talks a lot about China. She loves her her country, of course. She came here a few years ago to study more like broadcast media, and she tells me a lot about her culture, the history of China, and just the other day she gave us some candies, some Chinese candies, and it was a different taste, you know, something I've never tasted before.
Right. So having all this different cultures around you, and thinking about the climate that we're in now in the United States, political climate where there's a lot of fear mongering. How do you respond to that? What do you think about it? About, you know, the president of the United States, he once stated that, you know, all Mexicans are rapists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you respond to that? How would you respond to him if you had a chance to like respond to him and say, you know, what would you say to him about that?
Right. Well, personally, I don't like to get too political. I feel like politics, it's not for me. I have my morals, and I believe in what's right and what's wrong, and The way my parents see the United States, it's still very much like how it was viewed in the past, as far as the American dream. You're here, you have opportunities, you have to do what you have to do. Growing up in the United States, I saw the different presidents come in and out, and I saw, a left versus right and the arguments, and I kind of just felt like, personally, I feel like we're all one world. Why can't we just operate like just as people, and not have to have so many back and forth, so many and I understand like regulations, laws, they're necessary, but personalities and just people trying to create a rise out of like a certain demographic, I feel like it's not a good reflection of their character. I know like Mexicans, the whole ICE situation really affected even people I know, people in the area as well. For example, I know in Langley Park, ICE just kind of took over a little bit, and people were in fear. I knew people who, if they were captured, they would get sent home just because they didn't have papers, or I knew people who got harassed, or I knew someone's friend who did get deported, and it's really sad. I understand, of course, like again, the laws, but it's just something that I try not to talk about. However, I do feel like part of me wants to fight for what's right, like that righteousness side. And I think that as I further my career in broadcast, I'll dive into that a little bit.
Right. So this has been a great conversation.
Really great, yeah.
Glad I could have this conversation with you, and I wish we could continue sometime. So if I see you on campus,
of course, I have to try that dish you were talking about, the Jamaican dish. That's just like a tamal.
Yeah.
Maybe we can compare it sometime.
I'll definitely hook you up to that.
Yeah, of course. I'll see you around campus.
You will. All right.
Okay.